According to a recent Pew research, people leave their jobs because they're not paid enough. And then the second reason is that they don't feel recognized or respected. These are the two reasons. And of course, they leave their supervisor. That's because the supervisor is not giving them the recognition or showing the respect that they deserve. So today I'm going to focus on how you can gain the respect and recognition you deserve in your career. I'm Dr. Mrinalini Garv. I'm a career advancement coach and leadership coach for South Asian professionals who are ambitious, who either want to get into leadership roles or are already in leadership roles and want to thrive in them so that they can be seen as effective leaders. This topic is so important because we all get stereotyped into various brackets. So when it comes to South Asians, they are generally thought of, oh, the doctors, oh, the engineers, oh, they are good at math. The and this is great. However, the problem is that they perceive us as just technical people. They're just the smarties, right? They just know how to use their brain. They will solve problems. They're great problem solvers. They'll do troubleshooting, and they put us in that category. And of course, it's a thing of pride. The problem is that most South Asians are not seen as leadership material. And when you're not seen as leadership material and you're put into that technical subject matter expert box, then you're treated like a workhorse, a qualified workhorse for that matter. And those of you who are in that situation, you know that it feels like a donkey who's working harder than everybody else, who is more qualified than everybody else, but somehow the others are the ones who are getting the visibility, who are being celebrated, who are being recognized. And a lot of South Asians are sitting on the sidelines, observing others shine, even though they are the ones who have contributed a lot. And others get the spotlight because they do PR, they market themselves, they talk about their accomplishments. This has to change because if you are someone who wants to get into leadership roles, whether you like it or not, if you hate speaking up, it doesn't matter. If you want to become a leader, you have to get out of your comfort zone and start speaking up and advocate for yourselves. So, today I'm going to share with you 5 strategies of how you can get the recognition and respect that you deserve in your career so that you are seen as a leader and you get the relevant roles so that you can have that authority and make that impact instead of just sitting on the sidelines. So, there are 5 strategies. Number one, and I'll go over them one by one, but first I want to share what those 5 strategies are. So, uh, let me see, the light is not, okay, there you go. So, number one, identify your unique contributions. Number two, learn effective communication strategies. Number three, build your personal brand. And this is something, if you're even if you're not actively building your personal brand, you are still, you are exhibiting your personal brand. So if you are sitting quietly on the sidelines and putting down your work and doing all the technical work, you have already built your brand as a technical subject matter expert, but that can change. I'll talk about it. Networking with influential leaders, and it could be leaders, it could be peers, it could be your counterparts in other departments, but it is key for you to increase your visibility. And then the last one is advocate for yourself in meetings. I can't emphasize more on this. This is so important. So let's dive into each one of them one by one. Identifying your unique contributions. So When if you're working in tech, right, you probably see a lot of you, a lot of people just like you, who are working as hard as you are, who are, equally qualified as you. And in that scenario, how do you build or identify your unique contributions? Well, there is a way to do that. Now, there could be people who are at par when it comes to technology. They probably are up to date on all the certifications and all the knowledge base that you need to do your job. However, very few are actually making connections with the company metrics. And that will set you apart from everybody else. So, everybody else is working really hard and doing their job, putting their heads down, but you are thinking differently. If you observe, so there are a couple of things. If you observe yourself and if you observe others, the way you address problems, the way you formulate the solutions, the way you think about problems, you will notice that you do it differently. You probably have sat in meetings where you have felt like, why are they going, roundabout way when the answer is so clear? So if you are able to see that, it means that's your unique way of looking at things. And the more you spend time on differentiating yourself from others, the more you are going to learn about your uniqueness. And uniqueness sells. But the most important thing is that you understand what your unique contribution is. So start thinking about what you actually do, how you do it, and most importantly, how does that tie into the company metrics? So if you can show that connection to your boss and the leaders in the company, they are going to see you very differently from the others. Now, when it comes to your specialty, you also want to think about, well, how many people are there who specialize in what you know? In tech, especially, I have seen people want to dip their toes in all areas, and then they become generalized because the way they think about jobs is that, well, if I have, you know wider experience, I will be more attractive to job opportunities. Actually, the more specialized you are, the more you can leverage for an ideal promotion, or for, for jobs, and you negotiate higher salary for that. And with technology thing is that, every 2 3 years new technology comes up, and I do understand you feel that pressure that I need to keep up. However, if you look at technology, the basics never change. So even with AI, data is always going to be important, because if you're building an AI system for the business, you want to make sure what data you are inputting so that the AI can spit out the information that is helpful, that is logical, that is useful for the company or the users who would be using that product. So always think about, in all the changing technology, what is that common theme, and become great at that. And it applies to same academia also. New research comes up. Yes, you want to stay, you want to stay in touch. You want to know exactly what is going on. However, teaching is not going to change. How you impart your knowledge is not going to change. So become the best professor at what you teach. And that is going to give you more popularity among students. That is something that you can also leverage. As physicians, Bedside manners, that's going to be the thing. There will always be new research, there will be new treatments that are coming out, but bedside manners is what is going to set you apart. So always think about what is your unique value that you bring to the table. And that, of course, takes some time to write down, to journal, to figure out what sets you apart from everybody else. And are you sharing that with the important stakeholders in the company or not? That is going to be key as well. Learn the next one is learn effective communication techniques. So that's number two. Now, when it comes to communication, for some reason today I'm just not able to hold this board. So when it comes to communication techniques, there are two components to that: verbal communication, non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication is the most important communication you will always have. I will share with you what comes under non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication includes decision making. How quickly can you make decisions? So if you are in meetings, how quickly can you make that decision that, yes, I want to speak up, I want to share my idea. Or, I listen to something and I realize that is flawed. How quickly can you share your thought? When you are making decisions as a leader, how quickly can you make that decision, even if it's an unpopular decision? So that's one aspect of nonverbal communication. Without saying anything, that I am a leader, just with your decision making capability, people will know that, yes, you are a leader. Ever been in meetings where you have looked up to someone who just quickly summarizes everything that is going on in the meeting and then says that, okay, so this is how we should move ahead? They are deciding quickly. So that's one aspect of nonverbal. The second one is how quickly you connect with people. Now, when I say connect with people, I'm not talking about doing, small talks, talking about weather, talking about sports that you're not even interested in, and trying really hard to learn a sports that you're not, learn a sport or about sports that you're not interested in. The connection is about linguistic style. So, how well you mirror the other person's linguistic style. If you have heard about the concept of mirroring, where you are actually mirroring the the people's body language, right? So if they lean back, you lean back. If they lean forward, you lean forward. If they keep their hand, if they rest their chin on their hand, you do that. If you do not know this, it's an amazing method, especially in interviews and meetings, where you use that actively, and you will feel that people just connect with you much better. There's a psychological reason behind that, and I will share that with you in another video. But that's an important strategy to connect with people. The same way with linguistic ability. Are you pausing? Are you speaking too fast? Are you joking? Are you, sitting with a stern face while others are, joking and laughing? Now, of course, you have to be authentic. Just because others are laughing and joking doesn't mean that you have to do that. But, just being in the present moment, right? Like, it's very easy. You can it's easy, when others are happy, others are laughing, it's very easy to just have a smile on your face. The um what was that one thing I was going to say? I just lost it. Yes. So generally, South Asians speak faster. And maybe it's because of, the local languages. In our local languages, we tend to speak faster. So when we speak English, we tend to speak faster. And people just lose us. And many times people don't want to offend us and they don't tell us to slow down. They just check out, and we share something, with all our passion and everything. And then the audience looks at somebody else who summarizes what we said, and they feel that the person who summarized what we said was the one who came up with that idea. So you want to really take an inventory, take inventory of the room, look at, who's in the room, how are they speaking, how do I need to modulate my voice, how do I need to pace my voice? Should I speak faster? Should I speak slower? And adjust accordingly. Now, this is something that I go in much details in our program, the Unshackled Career Woman. But I will do a video on just the linguistic style and share with you how you can connect with people. So that's the non-verbal communication part. Now, what about the verbal communication? Verbal communication, there is one and only one thing. Are you advocating for yourself? So in meetings, and that's, you can see the fifth one, that's that by itself its own big topic. But just to explain what verbal communication is, again, if you have been in meetings, there are some people who are unafraid to speak up, even if somebody is criticizing them, even if somebody cuts them off mid sentence, even if someone's doubting their idea, even if somebody just moves on, doesn't want to listen to them, they take power back and they basically make sure that their idea gets heard. So they are basically advocating for themselves. Now, for this, it doesn't matter what your accent is, it doesn't matter, as long as you understand your English, it doesn't matter how your English is, as long as people can follow what you're saying. It's just knowing strategies. When there are dominating personalities in the room, how do you stand up for yourself? That sets you apart as a leader. And when you are able to speak up despite criticism, despite people shooting down your ideas, that shows you, shows others that you are a leader. That's when you gain respect. And this is a skill that can be learned. The non-verbal communication that can be learned. These are not things that are, people are born with. These are things that can be learned. It's a skill. And when you know that, when you learn these effective communication techniques, the way you are seen in the workplace, the way you feel about yourself in the workplace, it completely transforms the confidence that you will feel about yourself, because you're speaking confidently, you're communicating in a way where you're connecting with people. You will feel within yourself that, yeah, you are being a leader, you are commanding the room, you are taking charge of the conversations. Now, let's come to the third point: build your personal brand. Now, like I said earlier, whether you're actively building your brand or not, you have already built your brand. So, if you have been someone who sits on the sidelines, keeps their head down, and just does the work, your brand is you are a technical expert, or you are shy, or you're introverted, you don't like to socialize. You have already built that brand. And guess what? Most leaders, even if they're shy or introverted, it doesn't matter. They step out of their comfort zone. They go talk with people, they connect with people, they speak up, they share their ideas, they laugh at themselves, they accept their mistakes. They don't feel embarrassed for making mistakes. So you want to start thinking about what is the brand that you want to build for yourself. So if you want to be seen as leadership material, what are some of the actions you will need to take? And this is all interconnected. This is all interconnected. Understanding your uniqueness, communicating that uniqueness, networking with leaders, right? Again, when you think about leaders, they network. There's no, you cannot escape. If you want to be an effective leader, you need to network. You must network. And again, that is a skill that can be learned. But let's come back to the personal brand part. So you want to think about, as a leader, what are some things that I would do differently? So I won't just, be fixated on my computer and keep doing my work and keep answering, Slack questions on Slack, I mean, right? How soon can I answer those questions? How soon can I, take on more responsibility and keep doing more and more work? If you're doing that, then you are seen as a workhorse, and a workhorse gets only one thing: more work. So you want to step out of your comfort zone and learn how to speak up about your accomplishments. You need to go and learn how to share your ambitions with your boss and how to have that conversation so that the boss lays out the plan for you for the next promotion. If you're not having those conversations, you are missing out big time. You really are. So, building your personal brand requires you to first dismantle the existing brand and then start thinking about what do I need to do differently. And here's the thing: when you start thinking about stepping out of the comfort zone, you terrorize yourself because you just tell yourself, oh my God, I'm already working 60 to 70 hours. If I get to that leadership position, I would be working even harder. I won't have any time. But this is all out of ignorance, you're telling yourself. When you know how to manage your time, you won't have that fear. When you know how to speak up in meetings without spending hours preparing for that meeting, you have already gotten, 6 to 7 hours back to yourself. When you confidently show up and you're unafraid to share your ideas, you are dismantling your existing brand and showing up as a leader. It's very important. If you want recognition and respect, you have to build that personal brand, which is different from your current brand. I feel like I need to do videos on every single of these bullet points, and I will do that. I think it will be very helpful for you to understand how to actually dismantle your existing brand and then create this new brand. And honestly, it will feel new to only you. Others will just say, oh wow, that's great, you have started speaking up, and they just start looking at you, with respect, without really thinking, oh, has she changed, has she not changed, or has he changed. It's all in our mind. So all the reasons that we give ourselves about not stepping out of our comfort zone, these are just excuses. But once we start doing that, things completely change, and that's what our clients experience. They initially feel, oh, but how can I say this? It's very scary for me, and we do lots of role plays so that when they go in meetings, they speak up confidently and just take charge of the meetings. Number 4, network with influential leaders. I talk about this all the time. You cannot give the reins of your career in your boss's hands, because who knows, the boss favors somebody else. The boss might be insecure, uh, and they might feel threatened because of you. They might not have the time to invest in you. They would rather just, promote somebody who's already showing all these skills and are respected and recognized by everyone in the department, on the team, and they get promoted. So we cannot rely on just one person. However, it is very important to also let the boss know what your ambitions are and have a conversation with them about how can this happen? What projects can you put me on? How can I get that visibility? And if it's a good boss, they will help you with that. If they are not, you will get fluffy answers and you will be left nowhere to go. So this is the reason why we need to do the side door. uh, we have to take the side doors and connect with top leaders and really talk about, you know what are the things that you're doing, how are you making a difference, and also connecting with them on a personal level, like acknowledging their humanness, asking for or asking about their career journey, their career trajectory, how they got where they are now, what keeps them up at night, would they do the same thing again if they got another chance, how do they manage their time. And you don't go and ask them, hey, can you become my sponsor or can you become my mentor? That is just asking too much. You don't do that, in the very first meeting. You just want to connect with them so they know who you are, what you do, why you are different from others. And most leaders are easily accessible. It's in our own mind. We feel like, oh, I have never spoken with a CIO or a CTO, or I have never spoken with a CEO. I just feel awkward, or I don't know exactly what to talk about. But these things, again, can be learned. These things can be learned. They are not rocket science. These things can be learned and they can be done. So these are simple, not easy, but if you keep doing it, keep practicing it, it just becomes second nature. And networking just feels like a breeze. But if we just sit back and not step out of our comfort zone, then it will never happen. And then last but not the least, advocating for yourself in meetings. This is extremely important. Extremely important. Your meetings are your platforms for showcasing your value. And I have done another video on speaking up in meetings. I will share that link with you all. But it's extremely important that you advocate for yourself. Don't wait for your turn to speak up, because many times people will even forget that you are in the meeting. Speak up. Don't wait. Don't speak only when you are spoken to. Share your ideas. At the most, you know, people won't like it, or, people might criticize it. But the thing is that you have to be yourself. You have to make your voice heard. And you want to know how to advocate for your idea so that people understand what exactly you're trying to say and respond accordingly, versus, they don't understand it and that's why they just say, oh, I don't think that's going to work. So how you present your ideas is also important, how you advocate for them. What happens when somebody says that, oh, I don't think that's going to work? How do you actually come back and challenge them and confront them and tell them that, this is the reason why this idea will work? And there are, of course, times when you learn, oh, yeah, I get it, this might not work. But again, nobody's judging you other than yourself. So you need to get out of your own way and stop over analyzing and overthinking and speak your mind, because that's why the company hired you, so that you can bring your expertise to the table. So don't hold back. The meeting, if you are spending an hour in that meeting, which, is my pet peeve, why do we have an hour long, why do we have hour long meetings? But if you are attending that meeting, you have an equal chance of speaking up and owning that meeting. So don't just sit back, be present, listen to what's going on, study the agenda beforehand, figure out where you can insert yourself, talk with the meeting host, find out, what would make most sense, where can you contribute the most, give them ideas about where you can contribute the most, and then have them ask you question or interject. But that's how people are going to see you differently, and they're going to recognize, wow, you have a voice, and that it matters, and they value that voice. That's when you will earn the recognition and respect that you deserve. Don't wait for your boss to validate how great you are. Don't wait for people to validate how amazing you are. Don't wait for them to give you respect. You have to earn it. And yes, initially it feels hard, but I mean, what that's life, right? Life is hard. And we have done harder things than this. It's not easy to leave our home country and come to a new country without knowing much about it. That's much harder than speaking up in meetings. So if you could do that, this is much easier. So to summarize, to earn recognition and respect that you deserve in your career, there are 5 things that you can do. Identify your unique contributions. Number 2, learn effective communication techniques, which includes verbal and non-verbal. Number 3, build your personal brand. Number 4, network with influential leaders. And number 5, advocate for yourself in meetings. If you would like a step-by-step guide to how you can make yourself seen in your company, comment respect, and I will make sure that I provide you that guide. Until next time.